Hello everyone, Moose Torrent here, and today I'm going to discuss why I don't think purple moss should be used in PvP. This discussion sort of started in the comments of my Rotten Grew Dagger / Bleed Infused Warden Twin Blades video, and there was one comment chain that I noticed reached over 100 comments long, so I decided to make a video. I'll just tell everyone my reasoning here, sort of to commemorate people arguing on my video. Also, I'm not going to talk about red moss here just to keep things simple, but a lot of the arguments will align. My main issue with the purple moss for PvP is that it completely negates all the damage from poison. What I would like to see is a purple moss that reduced the time that poison was active, or perhaps reduced the amount of damage you took per second, and you had to use multiple moss if you wanted to completely cure it. I think that would be the ideal situation because poison would still be somewhat useful, as it couldn't be just instantly removed, but at the same time you couldn't just poison someone and waste their time by running around and just waiting for them to die. As it is now though, completely removing the poison with an item is just unfair for the poison user. I mean, the poison damage is already just so bad, but there's also no other damage type that can be completely negated by the simple use of an item. I mean, let's put the shoe on the other foot here. Say there was an orange moss that made you invulnerable to physical damage for, let's just say 20 seconds or so, just completely immune to physical damage. Think about how bad that would be for anyone using physical damage. It would make winning a match nearly impossible unless they had a backup weapon, so what would be the point of using physical damage? I mean, would anyone think that's a good idea? I don't think so. So why is it okay to make poison damage completely useless, especially when physical damage does so much more? I don't think that makes much sense. I guess if you could negate physical damage, fire damage, all the other damage types with a moss, then it would be fair, but it doesn't really sound very fun. Furthermore, if you're concerned with longevity in PvP, then I think you're going to want variety in builds, as that's going to make things more interesting. It'll make the game last longer, and if poison isn't completely useless, we might see that a little bit more, which obviously is going to increase variety. And something I would also like to bring up that doesn't really matter much now with the arena limiting healing is how similar purple moss would be to using an Estus. Sure, purple moss doesn't recover any HP, but it does completely prevent you from taking damage in the first place, which is arguably worse. It really wouldn't seem logical to ban Estus and prevent someone from countering a combo that deals 540 damage in a matter of seconds, but allow them to completely negate the absolutely abysmal damage of 3 damage per second that will take an entire 3 minutes to deal that same 540, and it would take 6 minutes to deal 1080, if you're wondering. I mean, poison is just bad. I don't even think you can kill someone in the arena with poison just by itself. So I would put poison moss, or purple moss, excuse me, and Estus in the same category, but as I said, not that big of a deal anymore. Those are my main thoughts so far, and I hope you guys kind of see where I'm coming from. Maybe you'll stop using purple moss as well if on the off chance you see a poison build. Unless, like I said, someone is just running around trying to blatantly wasting your time while you're poisoned. But in most cases, it's not going to be that big a deal. I mean, really, poison is so bad, you should actually be happy to see an easier than normal opponent. You got 3 damage per second. The poison infusion lowers the physical damage of any weapon using it, so it's probably worse than any other option in most cases. And if the resin, if you're using that, is also going to be less damage than any other buff that you could put on there. So really, I'd say there's nothing to worry about there. And what I want to do now is just run through some of the comments I originally got and respond to them here, so hopefully I can save some time for you guys if you have the same questions. So here's one. I don't run around naked. I try to get the most defense possible in my armor, so why couldn't I defend against poison? Well, armor actually already defends against poison, so I really don't think you need an item on top of that to make it completely worthless. Here's another one. You're not just doing poison damage, you're also doing physical damage as well, so I should be able to get rid of the poison. Okay, that's pretty logical. But you're saying that like I'm actually doing more overall damage because of the poison. Kinda said this before, but to reiterate, the poison infusion lowers the physical damage of any weapon using it. The resin is going to be less damage than any other buff. Plus, consider how much damage I would be doing if I just had a straight sword on a quality build. My opponent would probably be dead in the time it took me just to poison them with the poison weapon. There's really no advantage. Actually, it's probably more of a disadvantage to use poison. Here's another one. So I counter your strategy by using a moss. It's like kicking against a shield if the enemy's a turtle. The kick would be comparable to a purple moss if it instantly depleted the stamina bar and like blasted the shield across the map and you had to go pick it up again or something. So this guy has a quote that I did not actually say. Stop using moss so my poison does some damage. Like, what's wrong with poison doing some damage? Like, are you afraid of some competition against a poison build? But I mean, it's really not fair that you can do damage to me, but I can't do damage to you. So, next one. For me, moss is like a block, roll, or parry. You don't want to get hit. Someone tries to poison me, I try to go against that and use a moss. Well, you can already block, roll, or parry an attack that would poison you, so you don't really need an extra item on top of that. Actually, poison will go through most shields. That is a plus. But the Brigand Shield does block poison. And once people see the poison build up, they usually stop using the shield and just roll. And most people don't even use a shield to begin with, so it's really not that much of an issue. Way I see it, if you don't want them to eat moss, stay on top of them. There's no reason to let yourself die by an ailment. May as well just stand there if that's the case. That's another problem. I mean, the moss is actually really hard to punish. It's really hard to hit someone because it's just so quick. You could just swing, and as your opponent's rolling away, trying to avoid your attack, you can pop a moss and pretty much heal in their face. So, I mean, staying on top of them, yes, will help, but I do think it's not a foolproof strategy. Here's another one. Making up etiquette to make your build slightly more viable just ain't gonna fly. For sure, to make things more fair for you who decided to build around poison and allow your build to do better, certainly moss being somehow off limits would be great, but everybody with a brain uses moss. I mean, I respect the fact that you're trying to do something different, but you're simply making up etiquette that hasn't existed ever to suit your build, and that shit don't fly, yo. This guy may be a member of Team Skull. I don't know. So, firstly, he said it would be fair, so he agrees with me. I don't know really what his issue is. I'm not forcing anybody to do anything. Like, all I can do is give my opinion, and if people agree, they won't moss. I don't see the issue with that. Also, he said everybody with a brain uses moss, so now I apparently do not have a brain. That is interesting. And another one. Moss is in the game for a reason. If they're able to use it, I don't see what's wrong with it. Yeah, it sucks, but it's valid. I get it's in the game, but so is Estus, and we kind of frowned upon the use of that. Here's another one. There's nothing wrong with using a moss, and anyone that complains is just whining. Use a better weapon or resin your stuff. I could stop using poison and pick up a follower saber, sure, but why should poison be completely useless? Does it make sense? Here's another one. If moss wouldn't exist, then all people will run poison builds. Well, majority of people are using high damage weapons whenever I'm playing, so I seriously doubt everyone is going to shift to one of the worst ways of doing damage possible. More people would probably want to try it out, sure, but that's about it. Here's the next one. Shields with 100% physical block make most strength dex weapons really hard to use. Also, shields with high magic resist or the magic shield buff destroy most builds in the game. So saying that only Moss do that is false, since there are ways to do the same with every damage type in the game. Well, using a shield is not just like using an item that, I mean, anyone can carry the purple moss and pull it out at a moment's notice. So there's that. Plus, when you're using the shield, you can still take damage if you're not guarding. The guard can be broken. And if you're going to use that buff, you have to put points into intelligence and attunement. So there's some drawback. That spell is good though, no doubt. But it's not an item that anyone can pop out at a moment's notice, regardless of the build. That being said though, some guy was two-handing a Great Shield with the magic Great Shield buff, and I was unable to hurt him at all, and we just ran out the clock for a draw, so there may be some balance needed for that spell too. Well, I hope you guys kind of understand where I'm coming from here, and I hope I encourage some of you to abstain from the purple moss next time someone's using poison. And that is it. This is Moose Torrent, and I'll be back with another video for you guys shortly.